Hey everyone, welcome back to the gardens. I think it's finally drying out enough up top of the property for me to walk around and do a garden tour part 2 and show you what's going on up there in mid-April. It's still mid-April. And I also want to play around with the placement of some of the new plants we've bought in the past few weeks. So come garden with me and let's do our April 2024 garden tour part 2. So in my bucket here is some of the plants that we bought in the past few weeks. So this is what I'm going to play around with up here. So the Broalia, gorgeous endless illumination Broalia, I thought would put it in and amongst the Hakanakloa all gold, because obviously blue and chartreuse go really well together. And I'm pretty sure we did lose a geranium roseanne in here. It didn't even make it through half the year last year, so I'm not sure what happened to that, but I do see the other two coming back. But so I have 5 of those for up here. I also have 3 more hostas. I see something's eating them already. Not my new hosta. Something is eating this. Probably slugs. I don't see, oh yes I do. I guess maybe this one's just a layer bloomer. Anyway, all right. We'll do the tour second. I'm going to get these plants placed. Show you what I got here. So this was a funky one my husband noticed. And I only had one. This is all from Black Creek Nursery. So because it's so unique, I told him to get it. Not focusing. It's called Wild Imagination Hosta. And let's see. 22 inches high, 48 to 54 wide. So it's quite a big one. And it's got beautiful blue, which I love. I love the blue hostas. But the leaves are different. They're thin, they're wavy. Almost like a silly string. Then I got this pretty one. I don't typically like the green hostas with the white margins. I think they look like the old-fashioned ones, which I never really liked. But this one is kind of slightly blue, and the margins are more yellow. This one is called Hope's Springs Eternal. It's a Shadowland by Proven Winners. This one is, not sure if that's focusing or showing up. I think it's 22 by 47, so it's a big one too. It's ruffled. Edges are ruffled. And then I got an Autumn Frost by Proven Winners because I just love this hosta. The yellow and the bluish green. This one's a bit smaller. It's only, can you see that? 12 inches high by, get that cleaned off a little bit more. 12 by 24, I'm not sure if that's, so it's a little bit smaller, but that's okay. So where can we put these? Most of the hostas are over on this side, and I think since I'd like to see them from the house, I want to keep them over here. Gets a little bit sunnier over here than it does over here, so let's put the big one, the big one, which is this and Wild Imagination. Put that back. This hosta right here is the Olive Bailey Langdon, so that's a pretty big one too. We've got the Woo La La. So, maybe like right there. Make sure I'm not stepping on anything. These will all just touch. Autumn Frost. Maybe try something different and put that in and amongst all the heucherellas. The heucherellas don't get that big. Maybe Hope Springs Eternal, kind of near the 2 Haas halos. That might work. All right, so let's go around a tour now. Let's actually start over at the rain garden because there's a lot happening in there. I don't normally show, I don't know that I've ever showed this in the spring, but you can see that pretty, beautiful yellow. That is alpaca. It is a native flower spreader, highly spreadable. We do pull some of it out because we don't want it to take over everything in here. But look how pretty that is. So I don't mind if it spreads a little bit over here. I just don't want it coming up and over the berm and overtaking all the plants we have planted here. So once it's done flowering, we do control it. We continue to pull some of that out. But that is so pretty. And the Simply Sensational Sweet Shrub is covered in buds. For the first time since we planted this, I think we planted it in, gosh, I don't know, 2022 maybe, 2020? It hasn't been 2022 because the garden wasn't, this rain garden wasn't finished until 2020, early 22. And it's over 5 feet tall, which is great because that means we can see it from the house. Then we have more pachyra on this side. A little bit less full over here, but still pretty yellow. And you can see, so there's the edge of it, but there's a lot of it coming out to the bottom of the rain garden here. So that's what we'll want to control because we don't want it taking over everything in here. I mean, our sneeze weeds are starting to come up here, so, well, there's a lot of weeds. The native sweet shrubs are covered in buds too. I'm not sure if you can actually see that from here. You can't walk over there because over there it is still incredibly wet, but you can see the irises. And you can see all that standing water. This is a native ilex. This is the winterberry gold, so it can handle that. We have another one over here being overtaken by the pachyra. See how well our two false cypresses are doing. I think they're doing okay because the flood, the standing water, doesn't quite reach up here. Look at the beautiful yellow tips, which is why I chose these plants. But they do not like it wet. Our marginal wood ferns are coming back. These are a native fern. This one's pretty much out of the ground. I don't know why. This one is always up out of the ground, but I mean, it feels kind of tight. I'm not going to mess with it. Let's see how close we can get here. Lots of irises. The turtle head down there is coming back. Now, those are a late bloomer, so we won't see pretty pink flowers on those until late. But the button bushes are leafing out. That's a button bush. Button bush up there in front of the holly. The acarus, even though see the acarus, that's the gold grass. I mean, that's supposed to like really wet conditions, but to me, even these wet conditions look maybe a little bit too wet. I don't know, we'll see how it does. I do see, I think I see, and it's probably not going to be, you're probably not going to see it, but we planted 2 bottle gentians late here last year, and I do think they came back. They like it really wet too. Everything up here, especially on this top left-hand corner of our rain garden, has to be able to tolerate incredibly wet conditions. So here's a low scape mound chokeberry, all budded up. These there's 3 of them. There's another one right here in between these 2 irises and a third one up there. These get mercilessly eaten by something. I'm not exactly sure what, but I'm hoping that they at least have the chance to spread a little bit here and stabilize the slope and the soil here, because you can see standing water there. There's some more ferns that are getting completely and totally eaten by the pachyra up here, which I don't want. I really do want the ferns to spread too. So again, once this pachyra is done flowering, we'll have to come up and control it a little bit. All of the cone flowers we transplanted up here last year have survived, so that'll be a pretty stand of color up here. Don't pay attention to the dandelion. But look at the gorgeous color of the ginger wine 9-barks. These get mercilessly eaten by deer every year too, which is why, I mean, this is probably the 4th year and they're still not big and kind of weeping like they should be. So we do spray, but here are the native. This is just the straight species Calycanthus, and you can see that's all covered in buds too. Ivory halo red twig dogwood, and another one in there. I love the pretty variegated foliage. They do get lots of spot though by midsummer because of the humidity. Beautiful flowers on Calycanthus, and they were planted up here because they can take the wetness. Although we did lose one. There were 4. I think we're left with 3. This one, the bud's starting to open. That one over there, oh, right behind me, duh. Really pretty dark red flowers. And you can see our meadow, it's mostly grass right now, and there are still a lot of weeds, which I'm not real happy about. I feel like the person who installed this for us did not do a good enough job removing the invasives. But at least a lot of the grass has come up, and there are a lot of cone flowers in echinacea. I have yet to see much else, and there are a lot of meadow flowers in this seed mix, so we'll see what happens. So I'm up in the bed now because I came around the back of it just to check to see how the plants that had been sitting in flood waters for a while. I'm not going to focus too much on that because it's just looking really, really bad up there. Just to see if it was drying out at all, see how they were doing. Not sure about that prog viburnum I mentioned, if that's going to come back or not. We'll give it a while. But I'm in the bed now, so you can see we have an ostrich fern here that's spreading, which is nice. That's what they do. It'll be nice to see that spread a little bit up here. And there you can see the Dicentra Valentine we planted later in the summer last year. Such a pretty plant. I love the dark red of the Dicentra Valentine. It's different from the regular Dicentra spectabulus. It's called Valentine because the flowers are red, they're not pink. And here you can see the Woo La La hosta better. I love these big, beautiful hostas. Let me get that off zoom. The oak leaf hydrangea, this is Snow Queen, leafing out nicely. I'm glad to see some coming in from the bottom because it's been a little bit leggy. This is not that old, 3 years old maybe. This is one of the ones that rarely ever flowers because the buds get eaten off by the deer. But it's a big one. Snow Queen I think is like a 6-footer, so I hope that continues to get bigger. Our Haas Halo is doing well. I don't see any flower buds on it, to be quite honest with you, but the fact that it survived up here underneath the black walnut, which Haas Halos are supposed to be black walnut tolerant, but anytime I see a plant that doesn't look like it's performing normally, that kind of worries me. So not seeing any flower buds kind of worries me on this one, but the pink spike bug bean is leafed out. I did order a 3rd one of these, so we'll have 3 of these up here. And we're going to, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. These are Chocoholic. I did order a 3rd one, so we would have 3, because I don't like having 2 of a plant. Ordered it back, I think in January, and I asked them to ship it in April, and when it was supposed to ship, they're like, oh, we're sorry, that's out of stock. Sometimes, no, not sometimes, that just really irritates me. You've taken my money, and you wait 3 months to tell me that a plant's not in stock. So anymore when that happens at an online nursery, I'm just done ordering from them. But I do have 3 pink spike bug beans that we're going to transplant up here. 2 in a bed already, and 3rd one will come up here too. They will get big. They're supposed to spread, although these haven't yet, and neither have the other ones that I have, but I would like a little bit of a hedge up here of them. So they'll be really pretty. Our Hosta elegans are all coming up. Now these get sprayed because, you know, hosta and deer. This is our Invincibelle lace, which again is another one I worry about. Even though it's a hydrangea arborescens, You know, not 100% sure this will be black walnut tolerant, but it's filling in nicely, so I'm hopeful. We do have another hydrangea arborescens down here. This is the wee white, leafing out nicely, so again, I'm hopeful. It looked a little bit pathetic up here last year. As a matter of fact, I see a broken branch on it, so I know deer have been up here. Right here. It's hard to grow plants to their full size when you have a lot of deer in the yard. This is a calycanthus that we moved. This is where the butterfly bush was that was drowning. This calycanthus was down at the bottom of our driveway, in the driveway bed. Calycanthus can take some water, some moisture, as I just showed you over in the rain garden. So this should be fine up here, and they are both shade tolerant and black walnut tolerant. This is the burgundy spice, as you can see by the gorgeous dark foliage. It's already budded up. This one has beautiful maroon flowers. A little bit of a different maroon, though, than the straight species. This one's gorgeous. This one had no trouble transplanting up here. Excuse my shadow. Look at these gorgeous flowers. I love it. And the burgundy spice is a big one too. You can see it's a little sprawly. We'll wait till it recovers from transplanting before we try to prune any of that. The caramel heuchera is looking really, really gorgeous. I love it. We have a hosta coming up here. This one is Seducer. And you can see in the distance here, these are the Chantilly Lace Goat's Beard by Proven Winners. Very delicate foliage and delicate flowers. So pretty. They have done well up here. This Hosta has been here for years and has not done much. Same with this one, although it's getting better. I did have a third in here somewhere, but they were so small when I bought them from quart containers that that one just didn't survive. I can get another one in a bigger gallon container and replace it up here. Sweet tea heucherella. Look at that gorgeous color. I absolutely love, and I know I've said it before, these pinky, peachy, orange heucherellas and heucheras. I just think they're absolutely gorgeous, and it's going to look so pretty up here with the hosta, the Hosta, and that gorgeous endless illumination broalia. I can picture it in summer. It's going to look beautiful up here. What else do we have? We transplanted the 5 sugar and spice. But these are tiarella. And you can see they're already blooming. I love the veining on them. Pretty flowers dancing in the breeze. I'm going to pick this up and bring it back down with me because it needs some water. But just look. Look at that gorgeous color combination. That's why I have the geranium roseanne up here. There's one there, and there's another one farther down there, because the blue flowers against the gold, just a classic combination. And I love that color combination, the chartreuse and the blue. But this needs water, so I'm going to bring this back down with me. Here's the other one. The other geranium roseanne right there. We have 2 more Haas Halo hydrangeas, which again, I don't see any flower buds on. Now, it's an arborescence. Maybe it's a little bit later. I'm not 100% sure about that. But they both came back. And we have a, I always get this mixed up with the Pacera. This is golden, no. I'll have to look that up and let you know, because I can never remember. But it's a native and it has pretty yellow flowers. You can see them starting to start budding up there. We have a native columbine back there. These are some of the plants that I had planted in containers in 2022. on my deck instead of doing annuals, and they really performed beautifully. We transferred them out to the landscape last year. They all survived. The wee white hydrangea was one of them. This is a maple leaf viburnum, planted up here because they are black walnut tolerant. This is a native viburnum. And we have another one over here. They just don't ever really fill in much. Now again, these are just new last year, and when I received them they were just sticks. So I'm hopeful that they do more, because they're a 4 to 6 foot tall and wide, and I would like them to fill into kind of just create a little bit of a wall here so that I don't see too much messiness. I don't like seeing messiness, and I think this meadow is messy. Here is our major wheeler honeysuckle, which was evergreen over the winter, and we transferred it onto this Jardin tower. I mentioned in my last video that this was down in our side yard inside the fence. So we transferred it up here so that the major wheeler has something to crawl along. Well, I wanted it to crawl along the log, which I will still try to get that to happen. But I also want it to grow up again to just provide some cover from what's back here. Let's take a look at the beautiful blue moon phlox. These are another native. This is the Gibraltar azalea, which I thought it was leafing out, but to be quite honest with you, it's looking a little thin compared to, I'll have to go back and look at my other video. I don't think I used any of that footage in any of my videos, but I do have footage of this from a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it looked a little bit fuller. Now, I do see flower buds, but not many leaf buds. Again, this was planted here because it's black walnut tolerant. It's one of the few azaleas that is. It's an Exbury azalea. And before we move on to the phlox, the Sun King, Borrelia Sun King is coming back there. There's 2 of them. There's another one right here. And this is the blue moon phlox. Absolutely gorgeous. It glows. I can see it from the house. With the Southern Comfort heuchera. Again, that peachy, gorgeous, orangey color. Just love it. And it looks really pretty against the blue of the phlox. The phlox, that one there, and the 2 Southern Comfort heucheras were also in my containers on my deck last year, or in 2022, and we transplanted them to the landscape. I did have closed shoes on these because, again, I don't know what eats them. Heuchera are supposed to be fairly deer and rabbit resistant because they have hairy leaves, but something always eats it. So uncovered them, and they're looking glorious underneath this male Ilex opaca that is the pollinator for our female hollies in our rain garden. So everything up here is doing really nicely in this bed. I can't say so much for behind the tree where it was flooded. I mean, the stuff that can tolerate that is definitely coming back. Not sure about that prog viburnum we had to transplant. I don't know if it's going to make it, but we'll see. I may have to get another one, just not planted in the same location. So I think there's 3 hostas will look nice where I placed them. See the other 2 in the distance there. Once the geranium roseanne is blooming with the blue and we get some of that endless illumination broalia up here, I think it's going to look really pretty. I actually would like another dicentra, I think. I can get another Valentine one at work, but I did find one at work recently called Cupid. I took a picture of it. I'll put a clip in here because it has pale pink flowers. I've never seen a dicentra with really, really pale pink flowers before. And I think that would look really pretty against some of these blue hostas. So I might have to pick one of those up. So pretty. I don't typically show these growing in my grass. This is the top of our property, the kind of weird piece of property we own behind my neighbors. I believe this is a juga. Obviously my neighbors had planted this up here for some reason, probably years ago, and we just, you know, we mow it, but we let it go. It's really pretty. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if it spread more. I think it's a nice purple spring bloomer that I don't mind up here where nothing much else will grow. You see we have some of it growing over there as well. Some of it on our property, some of it, that stick right there is our property lines. You can see that growing back there. It's really pretty. I love anything purple. I'm going to end the video right here. It's just a sneak peek for an upcoming video. I was able to get 3 Miss Molly butterfly bushes to complete the retaining wall bed transformation here, and another lemon squeeze pennisetum to add to the 4 we already have. I had mentioned those, I think, in a previous video. So just a sneak peek. Stay tuned for upcoming video on finishing off the retaining wall bed here. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the top part of our property that is now drying out enough to be able to walk up there. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.